Hey, thanks for that, Samson. I like the way you journalists are able to latch on to stuff and, but no, that statement, yeah, it's an important statement I made there because of a couple of things, and I'll explain. Now, if you look back at this epidemic globally, we had the concerns with the Diamond Princess cruise ships that had infections aboard, and the Diamond Princess cruise ship was that one place that helped a lot globally to establish some estimate of what their reproductive number was. This was because you had a well-defined, not only well-defined, but also a confined population within which you could measure the spread of the disease and even map out the levels of mobility and so on. We have seen this kind of picture also repeat itself and be used in other places. For example, in the US, the meat packaging plants, Tyson meat packaging plants, where you had in some plants over 14% of the workers, coming down positive with coronavirus. There are three places where we tend to aggregate and associate very closely for a relatively long periods of time. One is at home, the second place is during our commute, and the third place is at work. So if we now have data which shows a fairly well-described population, which is a population of factory workers in an industrial site, over 1,300, I thought it was 1,500, but you said 1,300 plus. And we have 533, that is well over 1/3, falling ill. It should tell you what the reality of exposure and risk of infection is. And you can use that as a fair proxy of what the rate of spread would be within a community when there's one infected person. All you need to establish among those factory workers would be how many people were initially infected, who was the index case, or who were the first few cases. And then you look at the amount of time they spent together and the proximity they had with each other. And with that, you could even measure what your real rate of spread is. So I think this is really indicative of the reality. But I need to throw in a caveat there. The good thing here, again, is that this has been picked up quickly. What that means is that we know these people, they'll be isolated and they'll be treated. So it should not surprise you at all if the mortality from this now cohort of factory workers will be zero. And that's exactly what you want. You want to be able to detect your cases early, quickly. This is exactly what Germany has been able to do. And so far Ghana is doing, but we need to change the gears quickly. Germany has just as many infections as France. And yet less than 1/3 the level of mortality, or barely 1/3 the level of mortality as France. What is making the difference? It's the rate of testing, which allows you to detect very quickly and therefore to intervene among those who are positive. And remember, a greater majority will be asymptomatic. So it should tell you that we need to now move into a mass testing regime. I'm not in a right position to speak about our capacity to do that, but from what I understand, this is being worked on to increase the testing capacity. We have even developed in-house antibody antigen reaction test kits here at KNUST, which are being tested by the FDA. I don't know the outcomes of that. So there's a lot of activity around this. I don't know the full detail, but this is where the pressure should be put, because as for the rate of infections, it most likely will go up, and therefore you need to continue with the things we've talked about, the hand washing, the mask, and so on and so forth. But that only takes you to a certain point.